but praise from his neighbors. And it's not a loud thing. It doesn't have to be loud. A wedding reception does not have to be loud. But again, let me just say that this is a profitable thing for the county, and you have a man of great professional integrity looking at this. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Next.
Good evening. My name is Joyce Hayden. I'm a registered voter in the Port Royal District. My name is Joyce Hayden, and I lived at 12059 Summit Crossing Road, just up the corner from Mr. Thompson. I am what you would call a come here. I moved to Caroline County 40 years ago from Washington, D.C., and I've always enjoyed the peace and tranquility of our neighborhood. That's why I can't support this permit. It would destroy what we all enjoy so much. Just a couple weeks ago, a landowner on Fredericksburg Turnpike, 3 miles from my home, had a wedding reception at his home. It went past midnight. I had 3 different friends who live on Fredericksburg Turnpike tell me it kept them awake. One night of that is bad enough, but imagine how that potentially happening several times a week. This is just the wrong location for this sort of facility, and I sincerely hope the board will exercise its discretion and deny this permit request. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hayden.
My name is Karen Lambert. I'm from the Reedy Church District. Initially, when I heard about this coming forward, I almost thought to myself, good, somebody else will feel the same way I had to feel. And then I thought, I hope this doesn't happen again in Caroline. There are people that had spoken in favor of exemptions that were brought our way, and it started as a special exemption. And we were also told that in 2 years, if things don't work out, we'll change them. They can't be changed now. In fact, they're going even more against the citizens who live there. I'm in a position to know firsthand what the noise can do. I have to listen to concerts and bands and music that are 3/4 of a mile from my home, but I can hear them with my windows closed. So I know that distance isn't what's going to keep the noise away. It's how the land rolls, it's how the atmosphere is, it's everything. So these people, I know, will hear a lot more than you may think they will hear. Like a lot of these people have said, they moved to the county in an area where they were either born and raised, where they thought they would have the peace and quiet, or they made an active decision to move in an area that was zoned rural preservation, and thought that with the comprehensive plan and the zoning that the county gave it, that they would be safe from the things that they wanted to be away from. And here they have someone coming in who isn't even the landowner, and on something that is only 40% of the property that they would need to build a house, they're going to try to bring in a business. And it's going to affect the lives of these people a lot more than you know. Even at 20 days a year, 20 events, like another person said, that is probably the most enjoyable weekends that would be slated. And I don't know how to tell you how it feels to come out and think you can enjoy a cup of coffee, but you're listening to some kind of music that you don't want to hear. And even if it's the kind of music you may have wanted to hear at some point, it's not right then. and the times. No one needs to hear it early in the morning, but no one needs to hear it late in the evening either. Conditional exceptions are easily changed a lot faster than these people realize. I'm finding that out more and more every day. So just, if you allow this, I'm feeling for these people because I've already lost what I came to the county for. And I hope that these people don't have to lose the peace that they enjoy at this time.
Ms. Lambert, would you summarize, please?
Okay, I'll wrap it up. I'm just saying, like what the other gentleman that spoke to, the benefits of having this business there, Spotsylvania will get the hotels. The other areas will get the primary economic benefits. I hope that you all stand behind what you put into zoning and allow these people to keep their peace.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Thomas Hayden Sr., and I reside at 650 Bastonia Road, which is in the Port Royal District. I'm living in the same house that I was born in 76 years ago. And it's 50 feet from Mr. Thompson's land. Of course, what he wants to do is up a road a quarter of a mile. But I already have my health is declining, and I usually go to bed pretty early. And spring and fall, I like to sleep with the window down. But I already get a lot of noise off his place, so four-wheelers and trail bikes and guns shooting way after dark at night. And I don't need to have any wedding receptions up there to make me lose more sleep. My family, as my son said, had owned this land for years, dating back to 1840. From what I know my family history, they settled this area seeking a better life. They worked hard to farm this land, and then they made much money to do it. And I can remember helping my father with a grubber hoe and a cross-cut saw, clean the land up. And I enjoyed it, and I like to keep it rural. It's always been relatively quiet and slow-paced. It's been a great place to raise a family. And I have 4 grandchildren enjoying the farm today, and I hope they can continue to enjoy it. I am very concerned that the proposed wedding facility would severely impact our quality of life and our enjoyment of property. This is the wrong place for this type of land use. 8 to 10 miles away, the city of Fredericksburg has surrounding Fredericksburg, I know there's at least 25 places that would be glad to cater a wedding or a wedding reception. And I don't think we need something that in our area. I don't see where there'd be much revenue for the county from taxes. I can't see where it would generate much in taxes. So I don't think it would help the county at all to have it there. And I'd like for you all to not pass this and look out for us people who've been living there for a long time. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Before you start, sir, what was his last name?
Mr. Hayden.
Hayden. Thank you, sir. Okay.
My name is Shannon Elder, and Port Royal Voting District. I bought a lot in the subdivision Macedonia Acres next to Mr. Hayden's farm, and there are 5 lots in that subdivision, and all of the owners that we've contacted are against allowing this proposition to go forward. I won't talk very long, but if you've ever had a day like today where there's a lot of fog or humidity in the air, sound travels quite a distance. And I've heard the Macedonia church, a Baptist church down the road, the choir sing. I don't know if they were outdoors, but it was lovely music, but it carried quite a long distance. So any celebrations going on, recorded music or whatever, we'll get to hear it, whether we like it or not. On the traffic, the road, yes, there is a double yellow line in front of Mr. Thompson's property, and I think the speed limit is 45. I've been passed going 50 by somebody that didn't know the double yellow line meant they couldn't pass. So I think people up and down this road are going to run into traffic coming in and out of the Celebration Fiesta Park or whatever, and there's going to be problems with that. So anyway, I just hope you don't allow this to go forward. I think also there's not really a lot of economic benefit, and another county that's zoned for business like this would, be better off. And I thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Lewis Haynes. I have some land in the Port Royal District. Matter of fact, I live on the county line with the sign between this Spotsylvania, Caroline County. I could not see his house from there, so you know. Gentlemen, thank you for your time. I'm not quite sure what the special accessions permit meant, so I called my attorney, and he advised me the issuance of one usually means it's a circumventing of the procedural order. So I started looking into it a little bit, and I drew up all the paperwork I could find and started putting it in chronological order so I could figure out what kind of went on. So let me touch on just a few things here that don't quite make sense. So the first thing you have to understand, we are the residents, so we think we deserve just a touch more than a sketch. We would like to see a true site plan, and we think you deserve the same, and a few of the points I point out, I think you'll see why. So VDOT, one of the first things they had, they'd gone to VDOT to get its recommendations. They recommended 5 different issues. Of the 5, somehow the Planning Commission and Mr. Thompson's group came out with one. It was a construction entrance. It happens to be the cheapest, but it really doesn't address things. We heard everything in here was about traffic. In there they called out they're looking for a traffic impact study. That was in the paperwork. It was never addressed. All we have so far is this, and it was dropped. It was said in a discussion, it was in I'm just throwing these dates out so you know they did come from true correspondence. 6/7/2011, VDOT parking to be handled at the time of minor site plan. Now that's the parking on the site. Minor site plan, we're talking 300 people possibly, give or take 200 cars. The little sketch I saw will not possibly hold 200 cars, people. Not even close. We went to the mall, we pulled out, we're not even close. Now the man has enough property, but that'll take us into the next thing. That'll take us into where the parking goes and where does the water discharge go. The last planning commission, I heard Mr. Thompson say he would dump gravel on there. Well, can you guys picture right now, after this last month, Irene and the weather we've had, 300 cars, 200 cars parked out there in a grassy, beautiful yard right now, you'd have to be stripped, it'd have to be built. At that point, that leads us into the construction phase. So we need a little bit more than that. We need inspectors now and whatnot. We need fire marshals to take a look and see what's fair and what not. When this water discharges, we are now under the Chesapeake Bay Act in this area. You have to have a state water discharge permit for what he's proposing when he changes the topographical area of the parking. This is a large area, sir. I mean, this is not a little event at all. When this thing cranks up, the water, the mud that will go down. And that's mandated by law. And then we have to protect, and I'm not quite sure if it's the state or the Corps, has to protect the downhill landowner. There's a dam there with a massive pond. Are you guys aware of this? There's a pond. That was built as a homeowner. We watched it constructed. He pushed over the dozer. Beautiful, picturesque. It is not built for construction, watershed. And from there, it takes a state water permit, and from there, the downhill water has to be addressed by the landowner by law. And I expect that to be held up by you gentlemen to make sure it's addressed correctly. The biking, I want to address very quickly. She is correct on the biking. I think it's Ms. Carter or something. She's very passionate in her speakings. There's a Fredericks Pride Association. They set up these events. They're set up weekends, Saturday, Sunday. They will compete for the same road. If you will look at the roads that go down in front of Mr. Thompson, Mr. Hayden, all these gentlemen, they will see there are 4 arrows in different colors. Those designate the routes. They form up on the churches on Massaponax Church Road on Saturday and Sunday, huge groups, as much as 300 at a time. And they steadily come down. They come right down, they turn right down Mr. Thompson's house with the arrows right there. That is a designated right by them. They choose this for one reason.
That was appropriate, Mr. Haynes, because could you summarize that? The bell you heard was your 3 minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So
Yes,
you would
sir.
summarize.
Well, I'd certainly ask you not to do it and take a look at theirs. A lot of state laws that need to be looked in first. Just giving a special exceptions permit does not allow them to start doing what they want. The fire marshal needs to address this for the safety of the people coming in, and I expect that to be your thing. I would just say that I would like to be against it adamantly. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening. I'm Robert Snyder, and I live at 6059 Macedonia Road, which is in the Port Royal District. My wife and I own more than 100 acres directly across from and next to Mr. Thompson's property. We agree with the applicants about one thing. This area is beautiful, and we understand why it's appealing. But the irony is the applicant's proposal would destroy the rural environment my neighbors and I enjoy, and it would set a precedent that would affect other rural parts of the county. More than 80 people who live in the immediate area or surrounding community have signed a petition opposing it. We have a number of concerns about this proposal. Number one, as I said, the permit would set a bad precedent, not just for our neighborhood, but for the whole county. A 10-acre open parcel is not large enough to provide a suitable buffer. The permit would allow a commercial use in a rural preservation zone. How many other applications would follow, and for what types of businesses? The county has a solid, comprehensive plan that directs commercial growth to areas with adequate roads and public utilities. Macedonia Road is not an adequate road. Number two, how much would this facility tax our county's public safety resources? Upper Carolina Fire Chief Steve Parrish has signed a petition and told me he is concerned about the traffic this project would generate. Weddings and parties might sound harmless, but our county has seen these events become violent. In 2007, a 16-year-old was shot to death outside the Madison Ruritan Club in Ladysmith. In 2004, 8 people were stabbed and 2 were shot outside the Dawn Progressive Center during a party. And in nearby King George in July, a brawl involving 70 people broke out during a wedding reception at a Masonic lodge, and 1 person was stabbed. Number 3, noise is a major concern also. No one in the planning department has really explained how the county's noise ordinance works. We've been told the sheriff's office handles complaints about noise and determines if there is a violation. Many of us in the area have young children. I have a 7-year-old and a 3-year-old, and it is unacceptable to see them or anyone kept up until midnight by loud music. They could hold 20 events a year, or nearly one every weekend in the warmest months of the year. The staff report compares this facility to the State Fair, which is on 300-plus acres, Town Hall, which only has indoor events and is in a commercial business district, and the Madison Ruritan Club. I spoke to Ruritan President Nate Taylor, who told me that most of his nonprofit organization's events were held indoors, and almost half of them end by 6 p.m. I have a question about condition number 16. I recall Planning Commissioner Brown saying that 1 serious violation of the conditions, not 3 in a year, would be enough for the permit to be revoked. I asked the minutes of the Planning Commission meeting be reviewed. Number 4, the plan calls for a parking lot, at first a gravel and later paved. How much space will be needed for a lot that can accommodate gatherings of up to 300 people? And how would this fit into a rural landscape? In closing, on this map, I've shaded orange all the properties that are owned or occupied by the people who have signed this petition. And at this time, I'd like everyone that signed this that's here to please stand up. I ask you to deny this application in the interest of preserving our neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Snyder. Next.
Hello, my name's Bridget Kwan. And I'm a resident in the Port Royal District. It's actually 5415 Macedonia Road. It's right next door to... Okay.
You don't have to tell us your exact address.
I just want to tell you guys that I'm in favor for this application, and I don't want to take up much of your time. I know some people have talked a lot about the roads tonight, and for people that aren't residents right close to the community, they're not going to be taking roads like Long Branch, because that is a very curvy road without lines. People that are coming for a wedding reception aren't going to be so familiar with the area to take really curvy, small back roads. And also, I know that they aren't going to be, they're talking about holding this venue in a residence that's already there. They're not talking about building another building to, have, they're not talking about building a motel or anything like that. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is J.D. Thompson. I live in Port Royal District, right down the road. I'm in favor for this. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
You're no relation to the applicant, are you?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you and good evening. My name is Melanie Thompson. I'm the wife of the applicant. Also, for 30 years, I've been a realtor and broker of my own real estate firm, so I also stand before you as a champion of private property rights, something that I think everyone here holds near and dear to their hearts. First, let me clear up some misinformation on the property in question. My husband was on big equipment digging the basement for our home on the morning he heard that our country was attacked and the Twin Towers fell. He promptly named it Liberty Farms. As you stand looking out from our porch, our neighbor to the left is 40-some acres owned by Tim Thompson. This will be where we will build our next home. Would we be planning that if 5547 Macedonia Road was to become a raucous party place? Across the street is a field occupied by either beans or corn. For all the years since the late 90s that Tim Thompson has owned his land. The neighbor to the right is a lady that we adore and would never cause distress to. She also has a small cottage. She also has a small cottage dwelling that is the closest to us that our daughter occupies. This neighbor, the only actual home abutting our property, has a body of water and a stand of forest between us. Our neighbor to the rear, well, that's 30-some acres owned by Tim Thompson. So you see there's a buffer around our property that was incorrectly portrayed to you in the last meeting. We also have 2 sons, a daughter-in-law, and a grandson who live within a quarter of a mile of 5547 Macedonia Road. As you see, our family is fully committed to Caroline County. Now let me tell you a bit about the applicants. Michelle Gillespie is a contract business consultant to my company and has been a friend for over 20 years. I know her to be a conscientious person, and I've watched her grow occasions by M&K that can become a favored event business for Caroline County residents. Tim Thompson, I'm slightly biased, but we all know not all husbands are perfect. He is the guy who brings his construction equipment out and when the state is low on funds, cuts the grass along the sides of Macedonia Road, plows snow, and last winter helped 2 carloads of one Caroline stranded family get all the way home and up their snowbound driveway. He is the one who brings his equipment out to bury dead farm animals for his neighbors on our road, but more notably, he's taken a blemish on Caroline County called Mason and Julian Streets and improved them far beyond any commitment Caroline County has made to these roads. He helped homeowners in Caroline Village tear down and carry off unsightly buildings. I've watched as he helped homeowners in this small, dated community renovate for handicapped accessibility. But the biggest success has been to bring affordable homes to Caroline County residents, thus contributing to the tax rolls. Mason Street is now mostly built out by Thompson Building Corporation and home to young families, professionals, and several of our first responders. Tim Thompson is passionate about Caroline County.
Mrs. Thompson,
Ladies and gentlemen,
can you summarize?
Tim and I were married at Liberty Farms, and it was a beautiful and joyous day. We host many gatherings and have many planned of friends and family. It is our hope that this venture will bring to the family gatherings of others in our great county the same wonderful, memorable occasions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Okay, I have Mrs. Keckler. You raise your hand. Would you just raise your hand? Okay, that's fine. I have a written statement from Mrs. Keckler. I've checked with the county attorney. We don't have to read the entire thing, but Mrs. Keckler says she lives adjacent to Tim Thompson's property, and she opposes this idea as it's very much a rural area. She also says that, I'm sorry, I lost the place, that Mr. Thompson was a good friend. Mr. Thompson has been a very good neighbor, and he's been there when she needed him. So that's the rest will be entered into the record, but since we were given that, we had to read it as part of the record. So one last time, is there anyone else who would like to speak regarding this matter? Is there anyone else who would like to speak regarding this matter? Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Hearing none, we'll declare the public hearing closed. Mr. Fincham, if you would. Board members at this time have any questions of Mr. Fincham or of the applicant?
Yeah, like Mr. Thompson, come back to the...
Mr. Thompson, if you could come down, please. And if you, when you're done, if you just want to sit on the other side, and those folks, before you get started, those folks that want to go back to their seat, if you'd like to now, you can. Or if you just want to stay right there, that's up to you. But if you'd like to go back to your seat, you can go back now if you'd like.
Sure.
Okay, Mr. Underwood.
Yes, Mr. Thompson, a number of concerns have been brought up this evening. Just listed a couple that I want you just to kind of address for me. Number one, they were talking about the amount of traffic that possibly could increase on Macedonia Road. I know you said you talked to Sheriff Lippa, or
I did,
and his response again was
he didn't see any problem in it whatsoever, and that anytime when we talked to the Planning Commission, and we ought to get Mrs. Gillespie down here too, because she was involved with that. But he said that there would be no problem bringing a deputy down, and what we talked about in the Planning Commission is anytime we had more than 100 people involved in any kind of event, that we would have the Sheriff's Department at that facility for the duration of the event.
One of the neighbors talked about having serious problems of crime, speeding, shooting, and disrespect of property and killing animals. You're not part of that, are you?
No, sir. I think she was having trouble with that long before I came to the neighborhood.
Okay. And finally, Mr. Thompson, what's your feeling about private property rights, owners' rights?
Well, I kind of agree with what you said recently. Was that this is my land? It's money I've spent and hard work I've put into it. I would no more tell anybody else when they can sell their home or when they can build a home on that piece of property. It's America. That's what we fight for. It's what we die for. That's what we enjoy. This right here is done out of what I thought was out of friendship and out of enjoying what that I have fought for. One of the things that came into play was the fear factor of the downturn in the economy. That's one of the biggest things that we've all fight today for. I don't disrespect the farmers. I don't disrespect anyone. I just want to be allowed to do on my property what I see